For those with good taste.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
Comrades.
And what do we have for you today? We're delivering one of the hottest top fives you will ever see, and we're doing that today.
It's the hottest because we've only done a couple before.
Yeah, I think it's right up there with some of the best work we've ever done.
And we all know top fives are the most original ideas that people have.
Well, I think we invented it, didn't we?
We're reinventing it.
See?
By doing
I like that.
nothing original.
No, I think the people dig it, man. This is one of those segments that the people look forward to.
Yeah, no, I kid. I'm actually, these are, for me, like some of our favorite episodes. It's this or like the 3-2-1s are my favorite things to do. I'm sure you kind of feel the same, right?
Yeah, these are one of those that we get into some shenanigans really quickly, but then we kind of explain ourselves behind it, and I think that's right.
Yeah, it's, I think we get to throw around the pigskin, metaphorically a little bit here, toss it back and forth to each other. I stick it in you stick it in me, kind of a little bit of that.
You show me yours, I show you mine.
Exactly. It's
and
a
then
big
we
game
get
of show and
deep.
tell. So this top five.
You got Obi Toppin on the mind.
Yeah, this Obi Toppin won't be stopping anytime soon. This one, it's a special one to me, Matt. It's one of one of the ones I had been throwing around for a little bit that I was excited to get into. I wanted to do the top 5 top 5 TV shows that you fall asleep to, or that I fall asleep to, or you guys fall asleep to.
Yeah, I think this is a segment that we know everyone can kind of identify with, but I think the big question is what is the top 5 series to actually go to sleep to? And that's something that we're going to hammer out today.
Yeah, we're gonna get through the list here. There are some I won't even call them unique because I think that like literally I was kidding before, but literally everything that could possibly have been done in the world of top 5 lists has basically been done at this point. That's fair to say?
I would say so.
But what we're gonna do this time, and that we haven't done before, is Matt and I are gonna develop a top 5. One of each. Each of us will have our own.
Yes, we will.
It's
a little bit of a twist.
Each list will be unique in the sense that once a show is picked, it cannot be used again on the other person's list.
And that's something that we've never done before, right? We
can
usually find something that ends up on both of our lists.
Yeah,
but now
I think in the past, it's we've gone a little bit more traditional, and it's like a literal top 5. It's like 5 through 1, and number 1's your favorite or something. I don't think this time it's going to be quite that. I think it's going to be more of a draft, where we're going to have 5 of shows on each of our lists, and what we're going to ask you guys to do at home is, or your cars, or don't do this while driving.
Wherever you're listening, as long as it's safe.
Yes. Safe.
Keyword here.
Don't text and drive, kids.
Or don't get caught doing it. That's the asshole thing to do. If you get caught doing it, like you deserve everything that's happening.
Hold the phone very low below the steering wheel, and nobody will see it.
Get your own stats guy. Put him in the passenger seat. Yeah. Who knows? It could get weird.
And it's great to just yell at those motherfuckers.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, text it better, bitch.
Give me that. And then you get into an accident.
I don't know why. I thought I would just bark at him.
You turn into DMX when you're mad at your passenger driver.
I'm a junkyard dog.
It's terrible.
So yeah, we would each have a unique list. And like I said, what we're going to ask you guys to do after the fact, or ladies, is we're going to ask you to vote. We're going to post this on our Instagram at some point after the fact, hopefully the same day, maybe the next day. We're going to post it. It's going to be a blind survey.
Never let them know your next move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just hit us with which list is better. I'm guaranteeing it's probably mine, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we're going to put out a graphic filling in some boxes and what those top 5s were, but we're not going to tell you whose they are. You're going to have to tell us which one you thought was better, and then we're going to name the victor.
So, Matt, before we start rattling off the shows, I wanted to kind of give a little context to the thought process that went with building the totality of the movies I keep calling them movies.
I know. It's exciting, though.
They're moving pictures.
Yes, they are. It's on TV.
Yes. The small screen. The silver screen.
The screen that makes us why would it be called the silver screen?
I don't think it's called the silver screen.
I've heard that term before, though. You're a movie buff. Where's that from?
Well, silver screen, I think, is the movies. I forget what they call it TV.
Is that like a movie at an old folks' home?
Well, I think it was that the projection screens are actually silver.
Okay. I guess that would make more sense. Maybe? Yeah.
But
we digress.
I also was going to mention, and this isn't a show I go to bed to. I hope this isn't burning anything. It's not really relevant either. But Black Mirror. Did you know what that stands for?
I did.
Like why they call it Black Mirror?
Because we only see ourselves?
No, it's your cell phone.
Oh, that would actually make sense because a lot of focuses on that show around how technology affects people's lives. So it does make sense.
Yeah, Black Mirror.
The Black Mirror. We look more into it than we look into any other mirror. That's crazy.
Well, holy shit. Screen just turned off. Stats guy. So let's get down to brass tacks. The thought process going into it, and I'll start first. I think a big thing for me in picking the things that I've picked is I truly believe, Matt, what makes a great show to fall asleep to is something that you can passively watch.
Yeah, something that doesn't require a lot of attention, but it still has to deliver the goods, right? It still has to be a good show, and one that even if you don't fall asleep right away, you could probably get through a couple of episodes on it.
Yeah, and you don't like. It's huge for me to be able to like close my eyes, but still know what's going on the show and like track. You know,
when we talk about our Black Mirror, so to speak, I mean the amount of time that I spend on my phone before I go to bed. Again, another reason why I'm passively watching. So it has to be something that maybe it gets my attention one moment to another. Maybe it's something I'm laughing to because it's funny in the background. But I know it's something that I had to enjoy. And not only enjoy, it's something that I can continually watch over and over again. It doesn't matter how many times a certain episode comes up. I'm always going to be up for it.
So that would be my second biggest thing is rewatchability is a big one. Also, Matt, I think amount of episodes is huge too, because variety within a TV show that you watch every night, because we watch it so much, is important too. Because you don't want to have, like, there can be some great shows that are 3 seasons long, but like you can burn through that in a week.
And the unfortunate part is a lot of those shows that are really good, but they're only 3 seasons, the rewatchability isn't really there because you only have a certain amount of content. But if you can go back to something that has 8, 9, 10 seasons, 25, 30 episodes per season, lock me in because that's what I'm up for.
Yeah. So what I know I wouldn't do is like, and maybe I hope again this isn't on your list. I'm not burning one, but like I wouldn't use it. We have Stranger Things coming out in a couple weeks.
No, that's not
a going to bed show, right?
It's too intense. There's too much drama going on for me to just be like, I'll turn that on and then go to bed.
Well, what's more frustrating, Matt, than when you're watching something when you go to sleep and it's something you were interested in and then you have to go find the spot that you like because Netflix doesn't stop, right? So when you all of a sudden are
when
3
you want to
episodes
find
further,
the spot that you finished,
you're like, dude, which episode did I fall asleep during last night?
And not only that, like let's say you accidentally hit play and you spoil something for yourself, like, oh wait, this person got their head chopped off.
Oh, exactly. Like, oh, that's where they are now. That shit used to happen to me with like when we got back into watching The Walking Dead on Netflix. It happened to me a bunch. So that's
you fall asleep to that? That's awful.
It's like the moaning. I think reminds me of my childhood.
It's the sounds of the walkers breathing. You're like, oh, that's comforting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Nice. It's like counting sheep.
Dude, you're never gonna survive the apocalypse if you went to sleep watching The Walking Dead because none of those sounds are gonna wake you up.
I dream about them though.
I love it though. But one last thing, and not necessarily a last thing, but a third thing that definitely came up for me was the accessibility. So the ability to watch it on any platform, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, maybe it's something I had to download from another. We used to download episodes digitally when you used to purchase the seasons, and maybe you used to watch it on your phone or on an iPad. So just the ability to have access to it and not have one of those situations like Netflix where they remove the shows from time to time. When they did that for a couple of shows, I know I was pretty sad.
You know what's kind of crazy is like some of the shows that I have written down, Matt, are actually shows that I have like the Blu-ray versions of, or like the DVD version, stuff that was before.
Yeah. Before streaming services.
Before you would have had a streaming service, when you would have just thrown in the disc of the block of episodes you wanted to watch, and it's like you just press play and fall asleep to it.
That's where the nostalgia comes in, because that's where you were like, oh, I've had this disc in here for a month. Let me just go ahead and plop that one out, put in the other season, and we're good to go, baby. We got a 12-month calendar.
The other big no, and this is my final big no-no, is, and it kind of goes along with what we're already saying, and maybe it goes without saying, is like, and while I'm saying it, maybe I don't fully believe, but it is a big no. Like, too many explosions when you're trying to fall asleep. Like an action movie can really fuck you up when you're trying to go to sleep.
And I think that made the choices for shows a little bit more difficult too as well, because there were some shows that popped on my list that I was like, man, I really did enjoy watching this before bed, but it was something that I turned off right before I went to bed. Yeah. Right? Like I made sure I finished watching it, turned it off.
Trying to struggle through the end of an episode.
Because maybe it's too captivating. Maybe there is a lot of action. Maybe there's some tantalizing facts that are, pulling you to the edge of your seat. But that's what I think makes this list, this top 5, a little bit better for me, is that it isn't necessarily being ranked in our, our normal 5 through 1. This is something that holistically, these are the 5 shows that make it to our TV every night before we go
on a regular basis. And I'm hoping, because I created this rule of the draft thing on a whim, and I hope I have enough TV shows written down to support it.
Fail to prepare to fail, my man.
Yeah, there we go. I have some stuff written down.
It should be a good one.
here's what we didn't do. We didn't really decide who was going to go first in this ordeal.
Yeah, this would have been one of those coin toss. You want to rock paper?
Do we rock paper?
Okay, we can do it. Right?
Or do you want to like pick number? I don't know.
No, rock. I think live rock paper scissors shoot. Best out of 3.
Yeah, best out of 3.
Yeah.
Okay. New York people do shit weird. So
no, it's 1, 2, 3, boom.
Cool.
Okay.
Right.
And I just kind of tipped my hand, so I'm not going to do that.
All right.
All right. Ready?
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors,
shoot.
boom.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Boom. Oh, okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I
hate that you stayed consistent the whole time.
I knew I had you on the third one.
I was like, the motherfucker's in my head.
I knew
for anybody listening to this on audio, it got intense. I'm going to be honest.
I went rock 4 times in a row. We both went rock, and then I just kept going.
I thought he was going to switch it at the last minute, and the bastard stayed consistent.
I knew on the third one, after we were 2-2, I was like, he's definitely going to assume I'm going to try to outsmart him by switching and getting ahead of him, so he's going to go. I knew you were going to go scissors.
Oh.
I don't even... So does that give me the choice if I want to go first or if I want to go second?
I think it should give you home field advantage, which technically you already have, so I don't like this at all. But yeah, go ahead and figure out if you want to go first.
I'm going to go first.
Do you want the kickoff at halftime? No?
No,
Okay,
I'm actually going to choose the side of the field. I'd like to defer.
Wait, what the fuck?
Don't spit at me, sir.
And you get to choose. This is ridiculous, dude. You'll hear from my agent.
No, I'm kidding. But I will. I think I'm going to go first only because, and to give you my thought process on going first is like, I think, especially where we're going to be competing for popular opinion, that is something that has to come into the list now, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to be putting this out there for the world, I have to think of not just what I love. I have
what the people
talk
love.
to the people, right?
Yeah.
And to me, there is a very clear-cut number one in the modern world.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
Like 2022, whether it's the year 2020, 2019, it's been the same show for the past 10 years.
Some people would go to war for it.
Everybody goes to sleep. Go look at a fucking Tinder bio in the past 4 years, and every single one's like, if you don't fuck with this show, you don't fuck with me.
Or I ain't fucking with you.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's like got everybody's favorite couple. It has everybody's favorite movies, everybody's favorite boss. It's the perfect show to go to sleep to, even though it falls off a little at the end.
It falls off a little at the end, but I think we all understand why.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think it's obvious what I'm going with, right?
And I hate
everybody.
you for it.
And I know in this is where the strategy comes into play of knowing that you would have taken it if I didn't. Oh, right?
Yeah.
Like in this. So I think it's the best number one pick we could have.
You son of a bitch.
The first thing to come off the board in this top 5 of
the Sam Bowie of picks.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
The Len bias of our top 5.
Damn, dude. Dark. Jesus.
The Darko Milicic.
No, this is the MJ of television series, baby. There is no questioning.
And this ain't like when Greg Odom went over Kevin Durant.
Damn.
It's The Office. It's like the most obvious choice in the world, right? Coming off the board first for me is The Office. I think that's a power move at your number one spot.
Hands down.
I could have just won the draft, I think.
Yeah, I think if this were a live draft and people were watching, they'd be like, "Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
He won. Like it's over."
Would you agree that there is such a discrepancy? And it's like and it's crazy, man. I say this and I do believe it, but I think I've even fallen maybe a little off of it because we've all watched it for like so long now every single night. But it is such a gap between that and the next closest thing, I think.
Oh man, it's not even close, really. Like right. I would say the distance between first and second and top shows, but it does come along with the amount of content that's given, right? The Office was around for
9 seasons.
9 seasons.
The first 7 are like
had
beloved.
Some of the best guest appearances from people that you would never think would end up on a show like this. When you think of Robert California, great
David Spader,
a great character that shows up and changes the face of the entire series. But at the end of it, you always come back to your Jim Halperts, you come back to your Pams, you come back to your Dwights. I think even some people like the Nard Dog.
Nard Dog. I love Kevin. I love Oscar. Like
when Kevin decides to start speaking Tarzan to be more efficient with his words, hands down one of the best like little segments from him. But it just has that show.
The HR lady thinks when she thinks he's special needs is like a great episode. Do you notice this going to bed watching it? And I wonder if people at home do like that. Intro song is the loudest thing in the fucking world.
Yeah, you talked about big explosions, and I was thinking how many times like I would wake up just in a panic from hearing the
you fall asleep, like you kind of giggle while your eyes are closed, and then all of a sudden you know the episode's over, and they just fucking slam you.
You gotta almost somewhat subconsciously prepare yourself. You're like, I'm about to have the shit scared out of me, dude. But it's gonna be worth it. Correct me if I'm wrong too. One of those shows that I don't care where it starts or where it ends. So like if I'm going to bed, I will just hit play, and it could be in the middle of one of the most crucial episodes, and I'm not going to restart it. I'm just going to play it.
No,
right
I think
there.
we've all seen it enough now, too, at this point.
You just know what's happening.
I do think that there's like a money area that most people go from. I think most people don't watch the first season.
Yeah.
I think you generally skip to, I think a lot of people skip to the third season, if I'm being honest. It's like like the Brand Wars episode or whatever when they're on the beach. I feel like is like one where people kick it off kind of at times, like season 3.
Yeah.
But it could also be like season 2 when you get involved.
For some people, it could even be later. Like you're thinking.
I think most people stop by the time Michael's gone.
Yeah, I think that's easy. Like you get a couple of episodes with Will Ferrell where it's like, okay, he's carrying a little bit, but then the unfortunate schmelting accident, it doesn't hold up much longer after that. But I think a lot of people would be surprised if to realize that they came in right around the merger. Right when you got your Nard Dogs, when you got your Rashida Jones making an appearance as Jim Halpert's love interest, right? There's a lot of characters that made their way into the show, and some people kind of just made it along with them. But if you got your start from the beginning, I think you're right. That money spot is right around middle season 2, start of season 3.
Exactly. So let's move on. Who are you taking at your number 1 spot?
This was one that I still actually watch like regularly. Like it was how it actually ended up on my list. As I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put this on, go to bed, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch, it's right there. And I was curious 'cause I didn't think that this would land on yours. I'm coming in hot with The Big Bang Theory.
It is not on my list, but I do agree. I'm fine with that.
I'm terrible with names, but I think his name's Jonathan Lipnicki.
No. Jonathan Lipnicki is the kid from the Human Head kid, I think. Like the Human.
That's the kid from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. Are you talking about you talking about the guy who plays Leonard?
The guy who plays Lenny. What's his name?
Leonard.
Leonard,
like,
whatever.
I'm Lenny, I know.
Yeah, he's not cool enough to be Lenny.
I can look it up.
We'll pull it up.
I'm sorry, guys. I know this is really a letdown moment because I'm usually good at this, and I actually know the guy's name. I
was trying to give it to you, but when you look at the cast, a lot of people would look at The Big Bang Theory and
Johnny
say...
Galecki.
Johnny Galecki. Why did it... It's the name that... Yeah, it's close. But when you look at this show... I heard a lot of people compare it to Friends, right? Where you have Kaylee Cuoco as your hot Rachel, Jennifer Aniston character. Then you've got your nerdy girl. Then you've got your way out there girl. But I just think from top to bottom, whether you were starting from season 1 or if you got into some of the later seasons when Penny and Leonard got married, like one of the craziest little love stories that happens throughout that show. It's a show that has great humor. If you don't like Sheldon, there's probably more of a reason to watch because he gets his comeuppance in just about every episode in one way or another. It delivers the goods while not being overly spectacular. And I think it's out there probably about 10 or 11 seasons, believe it or not.
It is, I believe, it's at least 10, but you might be right. It goes on to an 11th season. Yeah. It's on HBO Max if people want to watch it. I will come from the perspective of I like the show. I do enjoy the show. I think the tough part for me with it going where you're taking it is I think it's a divisive show because I do think there is a population of people who do not like that kind of TV show. And what I mean is like they don't like the laugh track TV show. And some people don't find it funny. I genuinely enjoy the Sheldon character grows throughout that show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he becomes and he really does become the focal point of the whole show and drives a lot of the storylines on and like him growing emotional, like his emotional growth throughout the show and like admitting feelings and having a girlfriend and like all these things are great. Like I
having
think,
sex for the first time.
Yeah, like I think the story really evolves itself and it does have that like that cast. It's weird because you said Friends and I do understand where that comes from, but the thing to me about Friends though is like those people in Friends weren't there yet from like a fame standpoint. Where like Johnny Galecki, I mean, is from Roseanne. Like he has, I think Kaylee Cuoco comes from like the. Am I close?
I think so. You nailed it.
She was on the come up, but the rest of them haven't really gone on to do anything, right?
Yeah, no, they haven't gone on to do anything. But I would almost say like John Galecki might have been famous, but he wasn't really doing much before The Big Bang Theory came along, right?
No,
like,
I agree, but it's like he had
his foothold kind of.
He had already had money, I think, is why he probably wasn't doing a lot. And he's probably directing shit behind the scenes.
They were like, "Hey, do you want to stare at this pretty girl for 17 hours a day while you film this new TV show?" And he's like, "Yeah."
They dated for the first like 3 seasons too.
Insane.
Yeah.
He
swung way above his. Yeah.
And he happened to hit, man. That's what those are the type of people that you cheer for. But while it is a divisive show, I think for the people that do like it, they'd all agree that from top to bottom, the show doesn't really tend to sour because you get more characters as the show goes on. You get your Amy Farrah Fowlers, you get your Raj,
Bernadette.
Raj
starts
gets a little bit
speaking
more.
and like talking to girls.
Raj banging chicks was always a fun little exploit. It was great to see him kind of develop as well.
Howard's mom.
Oh yeah, I mean even the passing of Howard's mom, like they did just a great job with that episode, and the fact that
the person on to Bernadette basically.
And she pulls it off greatly. Like she really fulfills that mom role. So
I think what it does well is it hits a lot of the buckets that we talked about in terms of like being able to throw it on, easy to listen to in the background, never going to blow you away from you don't have to know every story or see every episode to understand the show either. You know, there are some storylines that carry on, but
one other thing I would say is probably a takeaway or a take back from the show is that there is some like serious educational humor in it. Like these guys are pretending to be scientists, so if you're not really hip to the jokes or to the lingo and you're not following along, it may not be the show for you. And if it's not, you can go kick rocks. But that's what I had coming in at my first pick. But I'm interested to see what came in at your second.
Strategy's like a little bit different in this, right? Because it is like I have my number 2 pick, right? And I think I only have one other thing left on my list that's going to be on your list, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think we have a ton of cross-pollination in that.
Well, that was why I dropped that pick. I had to switch it around a little bit just to see if I'd have one on your list.
So I think I'm going to go with a personal favorite on this one. I'm not going to try and steal anything from you yet. I might save it for a pick or two later if I can, because I think I can get one from you if to be an asshole to you in a couple rounds. I'll see.
You're bold, asshole.
But I think I'm going to go with a personal favorite on this one. And it's a show that like it's tough to say it's my favorite show, but it is to me like one of the most.
Would you say it's in your top 5?
Yeah. But like in general, like a show I think is like just very, very funny, very smart, edgy, pushes it, has a ton of episodes, still running now. I'm going to go with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Nailed it.
That's
a good one. Not on my list.
I didn't think so. I know that's more of a me thing.
Yeah.
But same stuff, man. It's like all the characters are hilarious. It's a show that like I'll find myself laying in bed half asleep and something will happen that I will just laugh, like out loud laugh. And I like it's so hard to laugh when you're by yourself too.
Yeah, and laugh out loud, laugh hard by yourself, right? I think I don't think I'll take much heat for this, but Always Sunny has kind of created a culture. Like if you watch Always Sunny,
it's a cult following.
It's a cult following. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So it is just one of those shows that whether you're pretending to do impersonations of Charlie or you're acting like Mac, there's just these characters that can be so polarizing for some people. Hey, I really like them or I really hate them, right? And I think that for Charlie Cox, a lot of people like him.
It's not Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is the is Daredevil.
Oh, I'm terrible with names.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day. There we go. 3-letter last names, dude.
Right.
I almost had it.
You're totally right.
But these characters, I think, if you enjoy them, you kind of go on a ride with them, and then having the Danny DeVito character, to me, that's just always going to be shameless humor.
I think it's a thing I really appreciate about that show, and what makes it so great is, like I said, it's so edgy in a time now where it's so easy to be canceled or
offended.
You know, like, and they do, I'm sure, offend a lot of people, but. The great part about that show is it's so open that they are just bad people.
Yeah.
And like, you're meant to fucking think they're terrible. They are terrible. But for people like myself, that twisted, like dark, fucked up humor.
I like that real shit.
Like them get like having like Dennis and Dee get addicted to fucking like heroin for an episode was hilarious. You know,
Dennis and Dee together
Yeah.
are just hilarious.
But yeah, any combination of the characters, because to your point, it's like that's another show where I don't think a lot of people go and watch the first season. It's super low budget, and they hadn't necessarily hit their stride yet. There are some funny episodes there, but it's once Danny DeVito gets there in the second season that show just like sails for me.
Was that one of those like pilot shows? Like, hey,
they all
put it out
pilots,
there and somebody.
To be fair,
Yeah.
Every show has a pilot.
That's.
But that is a show that the pilot was basically filmed on like one camera in a small apartment. Is basically the whole first. It's Charlie gets cancer is the very first episode of that show, and Charlie doesn't actually have cancer. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's the first episode of the show.
That's great. No, I think that one is probably going to end up on a lot of people's list, and you might have just swung the crowd vote in that one. So.
I already did with The Office. I'm back to back, baby.
You're a piece of shit, dude. Okay. I'm going to come in really quickly with my number 2, because save face, because we got to restart the camera. but I'm going to go with, and I thought that this might be on there, but on your list, but I also thought that you might just hate it. Parks and Rec.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, I figured you hate that show. To me, it's just a knockoff version of The Office.
You had to take it because I took The Office, though.
Pretty much. That was my, how would I say? Not my ace in the hole, but my backup, you could say. That is one that I enjoy the show. I think before Aziz got canceled, you kind of got to see a really interesting
Were we right to cancel Aziz?
I don't think he should have been canceled.
It's crazy
he also moved to London, so it's like
he canceled himself.
You must have been you ran away, dude. Yeah. Like you run over to London, you've got something to hide. It just doesn't look good for you. But this is a show that from the characters that you see in this town of Pawnee, it's very Office-like, but the characters that you get are very different from those characters. I don't think that Leslie Knope is, for all intents and purposes, the Michael Scott of this show, but she doesn't really act like Michael Scott. It's her own little quirkiness that she brings to the table. It bounces off really well with Ron Swanson, who does a terrific job just being a complete dick and asshole in that show. I think it's one of the reasons why he's endeared himself to a lot of people, is being the guy who loves meat, bacon, and ham, and just being a complete dick to people. That's the American way. I think a lot of people like it.
He's a woodsman, right, or a coxman.
Oh, yeah, he's a man's man.
It smells like leather or something.
A lot of the times he's just making fun of Aziz because he's calling him a woman, basically, or a little boy, instead of assessing him as a man. But I knew that putting this on my list would get one or two reactions. Either people are really going to enjoy the show, and I've spoken to people who like the show, or people who are just going to hate it. And hate it for this fact that you get your Rob Lowe's that show up. You also get Andy Scott, I think is his name.
No, Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. There we go. See? This is why you're in the room, dude.
Yeah,
I love you.
Thanks. I make myself worth it. Yeah.
These characters are introduced and they're playing a specific role in the show that maybe isn't likable at first, but as the show continues to progress, you get to see their development. Leslie and Adam Scott develop a nice little relationship that comes to be really cute, but they get, kind of pulled apart, and you get to see all of this unfold. So when we talk about rewatchability, talk about the amount of content that's out there, it may not be my top in this top 5, but it is one of those shows that I can consistently go back to.
See, I'm quite the opposite in that I've tried to have this be a go-to-bed show for me, and I can't do it. Like,
what is it?
I just don't find it that humorous. Like, I love Chris Pratt, too, and, I know he gets, better as the show goes on, but he's not also a focal point. I think
he's a behind the curtains character for the most part.
Kind of a bit character. Yeah. A background player. I think I got more enjoyment out, if I'm being honest, out of Community, which I kind of consider in the same family as The Office and whatever it's called, right? So I think I generally lean towards that being something I like more out of those types of shows.
Hopefully that wasn't on somebody's list.
Hey, man, if it is, go for it. I just basically told you it's not on mine, so you can wait till the fifth pick if you need to.
No, you already ruined it.
So, to me, it's just I don't like what's her name as the main character, Amy Poehler.
Yeah, okay, I can understand.
I've never been a huge fan. You kind of said it yourself. I found her to be Michael Scott light in some ways, and I believe that is a show that people. You know what it is? Actually, talking about it now, Matt, and I have a minute and a half to go on this. Right, I think this show is the perfect example of my issue with a lot of shows. That is a show that every time I tell people I don't like it, they're like, dude, you just got to get past the first season. You just got to get past the first season. And I'm like, fuck, man. I just want to find shows that you can just, and I understand it because you have to work through development. You don't know exactly what's going to work and doesn't work until you hear back from people. So I get why it goes this way, but that is a show to me that's just been so hard to grind through the first season that I've never caught a stride that have gotten locked in on it,
Yeah, and I would agree. It took me some time to start watching it, but again, I started watching it as a go-to-sleep show, and it slowly progressed into just keeping my eyes open and watching it. So I think that's why it falls on this list, and I'm okay with you not liking it.
All right, so I am next up with my third pick. And
you're on the clock.
This is where it gets a little dicey for me because I'm looking at the list, and you start to have to play a game here because 5's not a lot of things. No. There's a shit ton of stuff I watch before I go to bed if I really map out the list.
We talked about how difficult it can be to kind of find that certain criteria that really just marks everything. So you're on the clock, man. You got to figure this out.
I'm being very careful because I don't want recency bias to come because there's definitely a show that has a ton of seasons and a ton of episodes that I've watched a lot recently when I go to bed that I didn't know I loved for a going to sleep show. and I don't think I need to take it because I genuinely don't think you would have it on your list.
Okay.
But it's like I'm running out of spaces, and which one do I eliminate? Because there's some fun ones on my thing, and are we gonna do some maybe honorable mentions at the end?
I think it's only right that
just to rattle
off
a couple.
Yeah, because again, 5 is too small a number for the amount of content that's out there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with a personal favorite, and this is a show that I love. Like it might be my favorite TV show. Like one of my favorite from a comedy standpoint. Like it's a show that. I went out of my way to watch on a weekly basis when it was live on TV. It's like the characters, like one of the characters I've always felt like really related to me. Like, so I'm going to go with New Girl. That's my third show. This
one's going to come up. Why the recency bias?
This isn't my recency bias.
Okay.
I have another, this is one that I once or twice a year will just throw on and watch all the way through. Okay. And then it's like, okay, I finished the 7 seasons. Maybe I'll go back to The Office for a little bit. But I find a way back to New Girl. It's a show that I still like, as far as like not being able to get into the first season of a show, that is a show to me that from the first episode on, just hits.
Yeah, it is one of those shows that I've never caught you watching it, but anytime it comes up in conversation, you can't talk about how much you love that show. So I'm glad to see it hit your list.
I mean, the 4 to 5 main characters, if you want to include Cece, who becomes a regular after the first season for the most part, are all very, very good, and you get some type of growth through them. But Nick Miller is just a character to me that like I've always felt like is one of the most relatable characters for me.
That's me.
He just I find a lot of my personality traits in it, and I find myself laughing. It's a smart show. It's got a great theme song, so it's another one where like you have that moment where you're going to sleep and you're like another episode started, and then you hear the beginning of the episode and you're like, oh man, I really like this one.
I gotta stay up. This is another 20 minutes that I'm gonna be up.
Yeah. So number 3 on my list is going to be New Girl.
Okay, I like that. I like it also because that wasn't even on my scope. I've actually never watched New Girl, so
I hope that people do like consider like with this, like these are like if you like. I think what you're gonna find in a majority of these lists, and this is where it gets difficult because I do have a couple things that aren't comedies on mine that I would almost like to throw in just to have a little bit of flavor. But I think if you really do love going like episodic comedies.
Yeah, when you go an episode to episode.
These a lot of these shows, if you haven't watched them, give them a shot, man. Like New Girl is a show that I think for especially males tend to not like hear New Girl, and it's just immediately like, oh, that's like a chick show.
No,
and it's like
because two out of the 3 main characters that start the show are guys.
Yeah, and you do still have Damon Wayans and Winston who are also in there. So you have a more male than female dominated cast. And New Girl just goes into play of like there's a girl who moves into the loft with them,
and honestly, man, Zoe Deschanel, she's crossed over. Yeah, she can be popular with the ladies. And the guys love her. They
also do. They have a podcast now, where it's Zoe Deschanel, Cece, which is Simone. I can't remember her last name.
Okay.
And Hannah Simone is her name. Sorry, that's what it is. Okay. And it's also Winston. It's what's his name? Do you know his name?
I don't know Winston. No.
It's fine. It's really not that. I was gonna say Dule Hill, but that's just like a kind of racist thing to say. So they have a podcast. They're going episode by episode. And one of the things I found really interesting is that like she was so big at the time that it was basically they cast her and then they had her pick who she was going to be acting against essentially.
Max Greenfield.
No, that's Schmidt. I was looking for Winston, which is Lamorne Morris.
But it says Winston Schmidt. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just gave away a running gag. That's a running gag through the whole show is nobody knows Schmidt's first name until like the last season.
Well, if you haven't started watching, I just ruined that for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, I respect that one. I mean, I've loved Zoe Deschanel since she was in Yes Man with Jim Carrey.
500 Days of Summer, man.
Great That's another movie. Good movie.
Great
yeah.
movie. Sad movie, but great movie.
We don't need to get into that. I'm not ready to shed a tear.
Yeah, that's a whole different top 5 movies that made you cry is a whole different list that I have an obnoxious amount of movies for.
All right. I get a little bit nervous when I start going down some of my picks because when we talk about recency bias, I don't want to fall into the mainstream bias, like these shows being so popular. But this is a show that I think when people tell you that they haven't watched it, the instant reaction is, what do you mean you haven't watched it? And it is one of those shows that has plenty of episodes. Great cast. I'm going with How I Met Your Mother on this one.
a very good pick.
Yeah,
I don't have it on my list, but it is a very.
God
I
damn,
have.
all right, I want to steal one.
I have friends that fall asleep to it. I do fall asleep to the show. I just didn't think about it, to be honest with you, because like these lists get long really quick, and we can only have 5, right?
You can lose quite a bit.
But you are 100% right. A very strong cast, a very funny thing, and you don't have to give a fuck that it ends poorly.
No, I mean, I would even say that it was expected to end poorly just because of how long it went. Like, there was so much build up to who the mother could have possibly been and how we got there. But all the main casts, all big stars in their own rights. You're talking Barney Stinson, Neil Patrick Harris. He's going to be famous for just about everything. Big guy, I'm missing his name, blonde guy, was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have the name.
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to go through the list. It's just a great show overall. From start to finish, I think we can all agree you either like Ted or you hate Ted. And for the most part, you really don't care that most of these terrible things happened to him. He didn't deserve Robin anyway.
Did you have somebody that you preferred to have been the mother? And spoilers, I suppose, like if people care, like, you know.
No, not really. I mean, something always felt like he would end up with Robin in the long run, but he had some great picks. There's a blonde girl in it who he probably should have ended up with, and I think she left him at the altar.
Are you talking about the chick who was in Scrubs?
Yes.
Ellie, whatever her name is.
Yes.
Yeah, she was great. And I think the Robin thing is such a tough one, right? Because, you know,
I can see you getting stressed.
it's hard to explain though, because I think that they were good together, but it's almost convoluted the way they end up together, you know? Like,
yeah, by happenstance almost.
Yeah, like that's what bothers me so much about it, is that show is almost like Ted's whole character is supposed to be destiny and like true love and like all of that stuff. Yeah. And it really just ends up like, hey, you know, I had a wife, it didn't work. And maybe that's like what it's meant to be, is that it's like that's reality too, is that you don't always just end up with like this dream scenario, and sometimes things fall into place way later. But I thought Robin and Barney were great, and then I thought Barney and the stripper were also great. Like
Barney and the stripper were great, and then Barney and the British girl were also great.
Yeah,
like Barney goes good with everybody, right?
Yeah, he's like a well-developed character throughout the show, and you know, that show is. The characters are so strong.
Number one Barney moment, and we can move on after this, when he gets to the bar and he sits down and Marshall's crying over Lily, and then he's like, oh, forget this, and he leaves, jumps on a plane, goes and finds her, and he's like, I bought you a plane ticket, you need to go home. If you saw what you're doing to Marshall, you would hate yourself and you wouldn't let it last one more minute. Now, don't tell anybody I did this. I will deny it until I die. I'm leaving. And then he just dips out. Yeah. And she goes back to Marshall, and it's a great...
When he has those moments of, I'm not a real dickhead, I just pretend to be, is awesome. Yeah.
And he's America's sweetheart. Everybody loves him for it.
1 minute question.
Sure.
Did we ever talk about How I Met Your Father on here?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
You talked about the introduction of the show, and then you started watching it, and you talked about how much you enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It ended well. I think it is satisfying as a spinoff. Surprisingly satisfying, because I don't think either one of us ever had high hopes for it.
Which I didn't want to watch it.
Which helps, right? Yeah. When you go in with that type of expectation. I think after the first couple episodes, it hits a stride. And Lizzie McGuire is a good
Hillary
version
Duff.
of Marshall. She also had a magazine article come out today. Like when people watch this, it was probably a couple weeks ago now. But some nudes.
Oh man!
But you don't like. It's like one of those like it's like the ESPN body edition.
Yeah, I get it.
It's all
like
from the sides
the
or
cups
anything.
And all that.
She's got some nice curves on her.
Listen, man, Hillary Duff is definitely up there as far as looks go.
Mm-hmm.
And her co-star Francia Riza is also a baddie. So I'm gonna say that show just interests me based on the cast.
All right, so I will move on to my fourth pick here. And I fucking hate this. I'm definitely going to leave things off that I really want.
But this is why we talk honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And we threw in this stipulation at the last minute that kind of put a dig in it.
Yeah, so. But I mean, you haven't stolen anything from me. I've only stolen from you, which is perfect. And I've come to the conclusion I'm not going to steal from you. Because I have 2 picks that I'm going to make that I don't think I can steal the one from you that I want to.
Can I say do it? Because I don't think you're going to steal anything.
I'm not going to, though.
But I don't think you have my last 2.
Sure, okay. I'm surprised we haven't heard any anime from you yet, if I'm being completely honest.
Not a going to sleep thing.
Thank you.
You're good.
So I have a show that has become in the past year. The interesting thing, the reason I want to have this on my list is I found that most of the things on my list are things that have been around for a while. Like we talked about The Office, It's Always Sunny, even New Girl. It's like those shows are all, like I've loved them for a long time now as far as watching them every day. this is a show that's been around forever. There's a million episodes, but until a certain app got created and it ended up on a certain streaming service, it wasn't something that I watched on a regular, I'm going to just fall asleep to it basis.
Okay.
It's an animated TV series, which is also crazy for me because this is going to be the one that I have on my list. See, you're looking at me, and this is the one I thought about stealing from you. And
I'm just curious what it is.
I'm not going to steal the one. I had an animated one I was going to steal from you. And you
right,
know which one when I say I had an animated one I was going to steal from you. I had one that I was going to. I'm not going to do it to you. And if you don't, I'll tell it in honorable mentions if you don't draft it.
All right.
I'm going to go with The Simpsons, though, for my pick.
Yeah, all right. So, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think that, that is 25, 30 fucking seasons.
Lenny, that show's older than us, I think.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. And it's so Disney Plus has it.
Yeah.
And I've always loved The Simpsons, but it's not something that I could tell you when I was young. So here's the difference for us because we're a little older, right? We're in our 30s. We lived during the time period where you actually got home to watch shit that was on at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, when we talk about shit being on when you go to bed, that's one of those.
So
right?
I remember Sunday nights at 8 o'clock. I remember watching Treehouse of Horror.
The new
and
episodes of The Simpsons.
That was something because Sunday, weekend's over. I got to be home in my bed, getting ready for school or whatever. And Simpsons was something that was always on. But then there's a big gap in my life where I just didn't watch The Simpsons. Yeah. And people tell you it fell off, right? But one of my favorite things that I can do, Matt, is I actually watch I'll put the newest seasons of The Simpsons on and just watch them. Yeah. And it's such a show that I could watch, Matt, for the next year, The Simpsons, and not get through. And I'd still be able to watch episodes that I hadn't seen before, or there'd be still stuff that I didn't expect. Yeah. And the great thing is that it is a show that there is so much out there that not every episode's for me. Not every episode's hilarious, but that's what's perfect about falling asleep to it.
And that's also what's perfect about content is it does have so many episodes. I don't have to like every single one. Not every single one has to be made for me. And that's what makes it a good show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I just think, volume with The Simpsons is such a huge thing. And when it does get it right, it's very, very funny and clever and all of that
there's
stuff.
There's always the on-running joke with animated shows that The Simpsons did it, right? It's The Simpsons did it, right? Yep. And they have been around for so long and gotten so many things right to the point where people think that they're predicting the future. Trump got elected. Oh, well, the Simpsons predicted that back in 2005. You're all right, man, well, when are they not going to get it right? And for the longest time, they've continued to get it right. They've changed writers, animation styles, things like that, and there's still money, dude. What's it, 35 years later, and they're still on TV? So
it's so impressive and
new content.
I'm very that pick I'm happy to have gotten just because it's something that in the past year I've just grown much more of an appreciation merely. And I honestly think when I was thought of this as a top 5, this may have been between kind of The Office being just that's a movie that everybody has, and then The Simpsons is just because it's grown so much, and my love for the show has grown through watching it going to sleep.
And you also remember what it was like to watch it at
There's a nostalgia
10 years old,
to
so to speak.
Too, right? Bart Simpson was cool as fuck. Dude, you know what's crazy talking about The Simpsons? I had a CD, a music CD of The Simpsons characters. They
making music?
Yes. When I was a kid. They would do covers of songs.
We need to find this.
I don't know where the fuck it would
I need
be.
to hear this.
I'll try and figure out what it was, but that's
we'll have
that's
to go
a
on
true
music,
story, people.
Spotify or Apple Music, and see if we can find this.
That's a true story. Okay, so your fourth pick now.
I'm going to stick with the animation idea, and
you're gonna take the one that I didn't.
I'm gonna put the one on the table that I knew you were probably gonna take. Actually, I'm not, because it's
tricky.
It's tricky. Mainly because there's 2 shows that I think of that fit this category. And some people are an either or on these 2 shows. I'm a why not both. And for me, it was a hard tie between the other show and Family Guy, which comes in at my number 4.
Oh, you just disappointed the shit.
You thought I was going to drop South Park.
Well, you should have.
I could have, but no. South Park isn't my go-to-sleep show. I don't put it on to go to sleep. Now, when we used to watch it as kids, this show came on religiously at 10 o'clock every single night. I'd watch it, go to sleep right after. 10:30, 11 o'clock, I was going to sleep. But I always made sure I finished that episode, and South Park still isn't a show that I can put on and go to bed to, because I'll still watch it. It's too interesting for me. Family Guy, doesn't matter. To your point with The Simpsons, early episodes, later episodes. I do think there's a golden age in there as well, but from top to bottom, I can watch any episode, and I genuinely enjoy it.
Listen, we are for those with good taste, right? And everybody's taste is okay to be different, and I'm going to try my hardest to respect that. There are few shows that I hate in this world more than I hate Family Guy.
I know that.
I think it's like the trashiest of trash TV, and like so it's really hard for me to applaud that.
So
pick.
it's
like
it's cool that you feel that way,
and it's not. That's why I'm saying like I respect. No. It's not my list. It is not my list.
It's
and
not
you got
your
one.
list.
You got one that I would never take.
Yeah, and I feel good about that.
You should have taken South Park to make me feel like you made a good pick.
But no, because if it were about making you feel good about my picks and me actually giving
you
a shit,
you wouldn't have any of your list.
Shut up. It would be Teen Wolf.
I don't fall asleep to Teen Wolf because it's too captivating.
And Twilight, the series. I don't know what the hell you're watching.
Yeah, good one.
But either way, man, Family Guy I know is on a lot of people's lists. And for Family Guy and The Simpsons, you may also be one of those people that's an either or. You might not be a both. So you let us know which one fills your animated slot, so to speak.
I do like that you countered my animated series with an animated series.
I felt like it was only right. And on the same network, so go figure.
Yeah. Direct competitors in a way. Although, would you consider Simpsons and Family Guy to be a competitor? Or
I would say
is it
The Simpsons
South Park?
owns Family Guy.
Is
Family
South
Guy and
Park
South Park.
Okay, they're more competitor. Okay.
So much so that Family Guy was like, fuck, we don't have enough. Cleveland Show. American Dad.
Yeah.
Bring out everything we've got.
They tried so hard.
It's like no,
but I don't like any of those shows because they're all just to me Family
Guys.
Yeah,
that's. I got into the Cleveland Show for a little bit just because of some of the episodes are kind of catchy, but it is one of those where it's just a knockoff for it. So,
cool.
Drum roll, please, for your number 5.
First,
do you want to do honorable mentions?
I have to ask for a ruling. I'm cool with doing my number 5, and then we can bang out some.
There were a lot of questions I had on your rules, but I didn't really ask any. But
well, I want to ask for a ruling from you as to what I can do for my 5th pick because I have I don't have one in mind more of a broad thing.
I don't like that.
Okay.
I think you're taking the easy way out, and we had agreed.
No, because I would let you do the same in this regard. I just think fine, deny it if you want to. I said
continue on.
My number 5, I would like to be anything on the Food Network.
Okay, that's going to limit me tremendously.
So were you going to go Food Network with pick 5?
No.
So what does that matter?
Okay, so
I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like, it's not necessarily
who's watching the Food Network to go to bed?
Me, dude. I'm like, I got
this is unhealthy.
I got into guys grocery games for like a solid 6 months. Was really, really into it. I fuck around with some Top Chef when I go to sleep.
Color me concerned, dude.
I like the is this Cooks or Cons? That's another one that I watch a lot of.
So this actually does answer one of my questions. So I had a question, and I didn't want to pose it because I felt that might limit our parameters a little bit. But I wanted to know if this was a show that had to be story-based or if it was a what would you consider? Like a show that, like a Whose Line Is It Anyway type
No, it
thing.
could totally be that. And I actually have one that I just thought of that would have been a good one on my list,
too.
All
right, I have some honorable mentions that didn't make my list because of that.
Are we okay with it? Because I'm cool if we want to do a singular show, because I probably pivot off Food Network.
No,
I think I'm getting a lot more value because I have... It's not specific...
So then I'm going to do the same thing for my 5th then.
I would have to wait to see what it is to give my official, do I agree?
That's okay.
But then do we say if I don't agree with yours, do I have to redo mine?
This is America, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's do yours and then we'll figure out...
No man is created equally, buddy.
We'll figure out the uniqueness of this.
So anything on National Geographic as far as animal documentaries.
Okay.
Going to bed, animal documentaries, that's my shit.
I'm okay with this because I do agree that that's might be your best pick.
Anything.
Can you hit us with a couple? Because I gave you some specifics on.
So they actually have some of these available on Disney Plus, even though they came out like a long time ago. The Real Black Panther. Okay. So the Real Black Panther is based on an actual black leopard that has to survive in the jungle, and who does the voice? I think it's Rob Schneider does the voice.
Are you talking about the movie The Animal?
No, I'm talking. Rob Schneider's done voiceovers, dude. Come on, man. He's not just the animal guy. No, but so I've got the Real Black Panther, the King of Monkeys, which is another good one. You're basically following some gibbons around, and then anything that has to do with sharks.
Gibbons is the last name of Samuel L. Jackson's character in Triple X.
weird trivia for you there. But shout out to you.
Just trying to help people.
I still want to do a top 5 Samuel L. Jackson movies.
We could.
I think that would be
put it in the tickler file. Okay, so I think that is a solid pick.
Yeah.
I think National Geographic. I think animal documentaries are a very good. Like Planet Earth. I used to fall asleep to that shit all the time.
But you got to remember, Planet Earth is what, like in the last 5-6 years. Give or take.
It became to prominence with like 4K filming.
But
I believe.
any documentary like that, incredible. Top of the Pack or Leader of the Pack, really cool wolf documentary. You ever seen a wolf take down a bison?
Yeah.
You need to. I wasn't expecting you to say, yeah, damn. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we rounded it out with a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Because this gives us a chance to knock out some pretty awesome honorable mentions.
Yeah. Do you want to start one off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So my honorable mention is going to dig real deep into the nostalgia tank, Len. And his brother was actually in the news because he got kicked off a reboot for a show. But I'm thinking Boy Meets World with Ben Savage, I can't remember.
Ryder Strong.
Danielle Fishel. There we go. Topanga.
And Ryder Strong.
Oh, Ryder Strong is Sean, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say everybody who was, mentally breaking down as a kid can identify with Sean a little bit.
And then the person who played Eric's name.
Will Friedle.
Yes. Yep. Does he play Batman in the animated series?
Yes, actually he does. Yeah. He does. That's actually a good tip. He continues to do like good work still.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably everybody's favorite
Plays with
character on
squirrels.
the show.
I mean, it's like my favorite thing in
the
the
world. Do you
world.
remember when the Lawrence brothers came on Boy Meets World?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the one.
It's the middle one.
He plays Sean's
brother, Eric's roommate.
Did you? Speaking of, I brought this up recently. Did you watch their TV show when you were at Brotherly Love? Do you remember that show? I loved that show.
Yeah, it was a good show.
I've watched it in the past like 6 years. It's actually still pretty fun.
No, that's a very good show. The Disney movies that they did together were actually really good too.
Mm-hmm. So we have a couple of minutes to rattle through some. So I want to go through a couple because like there's a lot of shows that can fall into this category, and let us know if you would have put some of these on the list. So a big one when I was thinking about stuff that I bought the DVDs for or Blu-rays that I would watch, like actually put the discs in, Workaholics is another one. But Workaholics to me has been like Always Sunny, because of longevity, has creeped ahead of it.
Yeah.
But Workaholics was like one that I really, really loved. And I think like that's a show a lot of people want to ask, have you seen Workaholics? They tell me no. Like, watch that show.
Yeah, it's one of those where like you're gonna get a good laugh out of it.
That show was primarily filmed all in a house that they lived in. Like they were all living in the house that the show was filmed in. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's a good show. That's actually
another
Community too. So
another couple. Yep. So that was one I stole. I hope I didn't just burn that off your list. I didn't.
No,
I didn't mean to do it. But
you're good.
A couple other ones. So this is one that somebody told me today, actually, when I was telling them what we were going to be working on. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting one because I think a lot of people would probably relate to this. And it's kind of creepy, but it's like true. Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, that's a go. That's
the
only time I watch Law and
Well, it's like a
Order.
middle of the afternoon or it's a midnight. Like you just like.
If I'm taking a nap, I put that bitch on.
Like, and you hear that like theme song is a crazy thing when you go into bed because I think that's one of the things you always hear, no matter how tired you are. And like everybody knows the SVU like hit, you know?
Yeah.
I have some more, but do you have any before I rattle off more?
No, so I threw one out there already. Whose line is it anyway? That was one that had made my list, but I couldn't put it in my top 5 because it's one of those that it would usually be on TV. Like I wouldn't go out and look for it on Netflix or Hulu, but it would be on TV and would be one that I would constantly make sure I was going to sleep to. As far as animated ones, we mentioned South Park. I also really, really enjoy.
I was thinking like TMNT might make it onto like TV.
No, I don't think so.
Go to bed TV series. No,
because I remember TMNT for me is like Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on this list? Hold on. Give me one for yours. If you had any
so
more,
you said stuff that was on TV that you would fall asleep to. I used to live with a mutual friend of ours.
Gargoyles.
Yep.
That was the animated one I was thinking.
Yep. Disney Plus again.
Yeah, it's on Disney
Plus. I used to live with a mutual friend of ours, right? And we would always we'd be hanging out on in the living room, and you'd end up it's 12:30 and nobody's going to bed, and you just end up dozing off in the living room kind of thing. And it would always be, we would never put a movie on, or streaming wasn't this was 6 years ago, and it's crazy to say that streaming is now versus 6 years ago.
We have more applications.
It was really just Netflix and Amazon
Hulu,
Prime,
HBO Now at the time.
Yeah,
they didn't have Max,
which
was
wasn't
HBO
even something I didn't have that.
I had it. Game of Thrones.
So we would always put the TV on, and it would always MTV would be where we'd end up
ridiculousness.
And I was gonna say, there's two shows that MTV just plays nonstop. And Ridiculousness is one that I think you could always fall asleep to.
Yeah,
and it's another
that should have been on my list.
Very similar to Simpsons, where it's like just this like a huge amount of episodes that you can just watch from, right? Because they'll just run 24 hours straight of Ridiculousness.
Their tapings are insane. He said he would do like 8 to 10 tapings a day.
Nuts, right? The other one for MTV for me is Jersey Shore. I think that especially Jersey Shore Family Vacation when they came back.
That's a new one.
Is like it's so fucking funny, dude. Like it is so funny to watch like Ronnie lose his fucking mind. I would just find myself addicted, like, because that's bad TV. I agree, it is very bad TV, but it's a show that it comes on at midnight and you're up at 3 a.m. and you just can't stop. Like,
no,
you know, like you just fall in love with it.
You're
it's
like,
so
right,
weird. It's like the challenge. Like that's what the challenge was, right? Like it's like something I just threw on and it caught me.
One that may fall under the radar of one of the top shows that everybody talks about, but it's one that I only got into because I started watching it going to sleep. Breaking Bad.
Okay. I think that's tough because if you fall asleep, like you're gonna lose something in it.
But
I've never watched it.
If you think about the first season or two, some of the slowest buildups that you ever have to get through. So as far as falling asleep, especially the way that the video quality was, it just made it easy. But anything else on your honorable mention list?
I think I hit through most of my honorable mentions. Right, I'm sure there's stuff that I could think of if I tried hard enough, but that's what I had on my list.
No, we got too much time on our hands, dude. We'll be here all day. So our next step is to get these top 5s out to the people. Right? When they hear this, they'll know exactly who picked, but we'll be putting this out on social media. Both top 5s will be out there. You got to let us know who had the goods, who had the hotness.
And don't spoil it for others that you know who...
Yeah, if you know whose list is what, even if you're guessing on a whim because you think you know the person, don't ruin it
just
for anybody.
Give us an A or a B, and I'm probably going to win, but it's cool. Like...
You're not supposed to tip the people, dude. Yeah. Like what you just did just now, like if we ended the podcast right now, they'd be like, oh, well, Lenny thinks he won, so I love his confidence.
Or they're going to be like, he's so unlikable because he's so mean to Matt and told him his list sucks.
Well, I mean,
I might have just healed myself. You might be the baby face here.
Somehow you have come back from the depths. Like, dude, just stop doing it, man. But this was good to get off of our chest, man. I think that people are going to love this one. And we got to start putting together something for our next top 5.
And definitely let us know what your top 5 is. If there's movies or if there's TV shows we missed, if there's TV shows you feel differently. Like I told him I didn't like Parks and Rec. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a Family Guy person.
Or maybe you think our reasoning sucked, but you had better reasoning for why you like the show.
Sure. Maybe what are some of your favorite moments in those shows or what made you fall in love with that stuff too? I also want to give a real quick shout out to our boy, Steve. Hey Archer, nerd affiliated. I'm geared up because of that, man.
Yeah, he's holding my gear hostage.
Thank you, my friend. I love it. It's super comfortable. Looks dope. Like, get some yourself, please. Nerdaffiliated.com or is it aarch.com? That's the one part I'm gonna try both actually. Like they could both be a thing.
We'll put it into the chat section where you can find Hey Archer's merch. All right, awesome. That way we do him a solid.
Cool. Love it.
We love you guys. Again, drop your top 5s in the chat. Hit us up. Let us know how you're feeling on social media. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and tell your friends about us.
At For Those With Good Taste on Instagram, at Good Taste Live on Twitter. We're also on every streaming platform ever. And we have a ton of good shit cooking right now. So come back, please. Until next time, we're out.
We love you guys.
Love you. Peace.
Bye.
For Those With Good Taste.